Gaspar? Are you there, Gaspar?
Yes, I'm here.
How's your week going? Today is Thursday?
Thursday, yes,
Yes. How's your week?
that's right.
Did you do something interesting this week?
Nope,
No.
nothing.
I feel like I
And
haven't
you?
done anything that interesting either.
And you?
mm, not nothing like memorable that I can remember right now. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can. I can see your screen.
Okay, because I am trying um to join the session using my phone as well, and I cannot see it. So I don't know if it's working or not.
No, don't worry, miss. Don't worry.
Great. So, oh, I am supposed to play some recordings, and I don't know why this is happening to me, but it says that the audio stops. I don't know if it stops functioning or sharing or something like that, and I have to share the presentation again in order for it to work, which is kind of annoying because it happens when I need to use the audio the most. Judith, Camila, how are you? Good morning. Welcome to
Good
to
morning,
this.
Miss. I'm fine, and you?
I was telling Gaspar that I woke up with a headache, which is not something that common for me because I never get headaches. But I wish, I mean, I hope I am going to do better now that we are having the lesson. So let's pray for that.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning.
Miss Javiera, you
Yeah.
you have to put the date today's date.
I'm sorry. What?
The date of today, November 12th.
Oh, today is November 12th.
Yes,
That. This is section 1. So,
that's right.
yes, exactly. Oh, not again. I think I will have to stop the presentation once I arrive to the part I'm talking about because the system doesn't allow me to play the audio. I just
Javiera,
realized.
would you
Yeah.
like me or Professor Ramirez to share the presentation for you?
No, it's okay. It's just something that I mean, like the last 3 sessions it happened to me, and I don't know why Teams does this to me, but it's okay. I just have to close the presentation and
Okay.
open.
But
open
if
it.
you need any help, you can ask us, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. So I think it's time for us to begin. What do you reckon? Shall we wait 1 more minute? Oh, there's way more people than before. Good morning, Sebastián. Good morning, Ignacio, Diego, Gabriela. So we are going to start this session. Good morning, Ignacio. We are going to start the session, but first we are going to play a game. I don't know if you can see me, by the way. Can you see me? Hello?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So we are going to start the session by playing a game that I like to call the silhouette game. The silhouette game, I'm sorry. And it consists that you can have to guess the celebrity only by looking at their silhouette. So the first one, and I think they're all kind of easy because it's like their signature poses. So this is the first one. Do you know who this person is?
Michael Jackson.
Exactly. He is Michael Jackson. And he's doing like the moonwalk move, which is a very famous move of him. And this is the second one. Do you know who he is? Can you
Donald
recognize?
Trump.
Donald Trump. He has been a lot in the news lately, hasn't he? I've seen him a lot. And I don't watch the news that much, but I have seen him a lot, even not watching the news every day. So this is the next person. Who do you think she is?
Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse.
Exactly. She was Amy Winehouse singing on
Brilliant.
stage. Now, this person, do you know who she is? I think this is maybe a little bit more trickier. Can you guess who she is? And I say she because she's obviously wearing like a dress with a skirt. So, do you have a clue who she is? Do you have any idea who this person might be? Or do you need a clue?
Maybe a clue.
I need a clue.
A clue? Well, I can say that her hips
not
don't
sure.
lie.
I know who that person
Is
is.
she Shakira?
Yes, that's right. She is Shakira, and her hips don't lie, according to her son,
I
obviously.
thought about Shakira, but I didn't think that she's so slim. But she's.
Yeah, you're right. She's very slim, isn't she? So this is the last person. Who is this person?
Elvis
Elvis.
Presley.
Elvis Presley. He
Oh,
is.
Miss, you are beautiful. Oh,
He is indeed Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley is known as the king of what?
Of the rock and roll.
Of rock and roll. That's correct. Do you know if there is another way we can say rock and roll? Can you remember?
with only the N and not the A and the D, like
And
rock.
how? And can you pronounce that all together, please?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. That's correct. He is the king of rock and roll. You know, sometimes we don't pronounce the expression as rock and roll because it sounds like, I don't know, if maybe a little bit unnatural, but we say rock and roll because, and especially when we are speaking fast, we elide some sounds, we delete them. For example, in this case, we can even say we are using a weak form of and, just by saying n. And we do this in order to connect our speech. And that is something we have been discussing about a lot lately. And that is actually the topic of today's lesson. So this is the agenda for today. The first hour, we're going to have, we're going to have an introduction to the features of connected speech, and more specifically assimilation. Then we are going to have the break, and during the second hour, we are going to work on something that for the moment, it's unknown for you. That's why we have those question marks, because it's going to be a surprise. So the objective for today's lesson is right there as well. You are going to be able to understand the concept of features of connected speech, and you're going to be able to identify assimilation in context. But first, we are going to move on to the features of connected speech. And I am going to need help from a volunteer that I am going to choose. So, Bastian, you are the first one
Okay.
on my list. So can you please help me
Yes.
with paragraph number one?
When we speak, we don't do it separately. We commonly do it continuously. There is a significant difference between the pronunciation of words in isolation and the pronunciation of full sentences in which speech is connected.
Thank you very much. So just like you just read, when we speak, we don't speak like, for instance, robots. We do not speak like this. We don't do it separately. When we speak, we commonly speak continuously, and we connect our speech by doing this. So now, Camila Gonzalez. Camila, can you read, please?
Yes, Miss.
Go ahead with the second paragraph, please.
In linguistics, the sequence is called connected speech. In connected speech, there are different processes by which sounds are linked
Linked.
and wide, dilated, or even changed.
Thank you very much. So just like you just read, there are some situations in which or some cases in which sounds are linked, are put together, are entwined, and sometimes they are deleted, or sometimes we have a sound and we just change it a little bit, you know? And that sequence is called a connected speech. So now we have another paragraph, and I would like Diego Farias, can you read what's connected speech, the first paragraph now, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
In spoken discourse, the boundaries between words are very often not clear-cut. Words and sounds are lost and linked together in different ways to enable us to articulate with minimal movement.
Thank you very much. So just like I was mentioning, we don't speak like robots. When we do, it is not usually that possible to listen to the end of each sentence when we are pronouncing something. I mean, it's not like very clear when a sound sometimes finishes and the other one begins. So that's why it says that they are not very often clear cut. And by doing this in different ways, it enables us to articulate with a minimal movement. That means that we use a less muscular effort, just linking these words together. So it's less work for us, which is kind of nice if you ask me. And now, Diego Troncoso, can you help me with the last one?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is one of the reasons why learners find spoken discourse more difficult to understand than written discourse. At higher levels, it is often not a lack of vocabulary which prevents understanding, but lack of ability to deal with these features of connected speech.
Thank you very much. This is an open question for you. Do you find more difficult to understand the written discourse or the spoken discourse? Is it easier for you to understand what people is saying, or it's easier for you to understand what people is want to express by reading something? What do you reckon, it's harder, the spoken one or the written one?
Spoken, because if it's written, it's easier because you can understand. You saw the commas, you saw the that, so it's easy to understand when a thought finish. When is it a sentence is separate.
Yeah, I think I think you're right, because sometimes, and even it all depends also on the person who is speaking. Sometimes you don't understand even what they're saying because of their accents, or because you cannot identify when they make pauses or something like that. So yeah, probably the written discourse, it's easier for, at least for learners, for people like us, to understand what other person is trying to say. But this being said, I would like to say that, for instance, in other words, when students achieve higher level of education, they have problems applying the features of connected speech because of the same reason we already mentioned, because the spoken discourse, it's harder for us. And the features of connected speech, basically, it's going to make our speech more similar to a native speaker, which is going to help us to be better understood. So that's why it is important. Now that we know about connected speech, we are going to move on to the first feature of connected speech we are going to deal with today, because there are many of them, and this is the first one we are going to cover. And the first one, it's called assimilation. Gaspar, can you help me with the first paragraph, please?
Yes, no problem, miss.
Thank you. And can you read the second one as well? It's just 2 lines, now that I think about it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Assimilation is the alteration of a speech sound to make it more similar to its neighbors. It is the process of simplification on by which a speech sound is influenced. by the surrounding sounds to make them more similar. Assimilation can take place between two adjacent sounds, contiguous. That's right?
Yes, continue.
Contiguous. Or at a distance, non-contiguous.
So, thank you very much. In other words,
You're welcome.
Thank you. In other words, assimilation, it's when we have two neighboring sounds, as Gaspar read. By neighboring sounds, we mean one sound that it's next to other. And they try to acquire the characteristics of this neighbor that they have. So that's why then at the bottom says assimilation can take place between two adjacent sounds. For instance, we can have assimilation in a word. We can have assimilation within a word, but we also can have assimilation between two words that are together. We can link them together. So assimilation can happen in isolated words, within a word, and between the boundaries of these two words. That's what the last part wants to say. Is this clear, by the way? If you have any questions, just ask them. I don't.
It's clear, but I think I need an example.
Yes, and that's what we are going to move on to right now. And it is, I wanted to know if it was clear because this is basically just a theory that we read. So now we're going to move on to the types of assimilation. And now that I am mentioning the types, we can see examples of each one of them. So we have three here. And the first one we are going to check is the regressive assimilation. Then we are going to move into the progressive assimilation, and then finally the coalescent assimilation. I would say that the regressive is the one that it's usually more, I don't know if more common, but usually when we talk about assimilation, this type of assimilation is the first one that at least comes to my mind when I think about assimilation. So we're going to start with the regressive assimilation. And I am going to read this because it's very few, there's a very few lines there. And it says assimilation, a regressive assimilation is an assimilation in which a following sound has an effect on a preceding one. So what do I mean by this? Here you can see, I mean, I don't have the one that shows right where I am. Now you can see. Here we have a t sound, a p, a b, a m, and a p, right? This definition means that the phoneme that comes first, in this case, that I will highly recommend you to take notes on this, by the way, on your notebook, on your computer, or whatever. I will highly recommend you to take notes. This means that the first phoneme, in this case, the t, it's going to be affected by the ones that come afterwards. In this case, it can be p, it can be b, and it can be m. And it says that the first element, it's going to adapt to the following ones. So, in this example, t, when it's preceding p, or m, it's not going to sound like t. It's going to sound like p. An example. Here we have the word, the sentence, the right person, right? Here it says, the right person, right? But when we pronounce this using regressive assimilation, we don't say the right, we say the ripe. And pronounce all together, it's the right person, the right person. The t sound, it's not pronounced as a t, it's pronounced as a p. This type of assimilation, it's known, I mean, it is said that has a a direction of assimilation that goes backwards, because the first sound it's going to be affected by the following ones, and it's going to go from this part, from the to, it's going to affect the first one, which is a T. So it's going backwards. We have another example now with the second element, that it's B, that it's the right bed.
The right bed.
Exactly. It's not right bed, it's right bed. And this is because, once again, the first element changes to adapt to the articulation of the second element. And it adapts to the sound that comes next. So the sound, in this case, we have a T, but as P or B or M may come after, the sound just changes in order to adapt to the articulation, to the place of articulation of the following sound. The last example is the ripe man. It's not the right man, it's the ripe man. The right man. We don't pronounce the T as a T. And I have a lot of examples of this, because there are many cases. But Bastien, I think, if I'm not mistaken, were you the one that said I needed an example, right?
Yes.
Now, can you help me reading those 3 examples I gave you? The right person, the right bed, and the right man. Can you pronounce those?
The ripe person, the ripe bed, the ripe man.
Exactly. Perfect. That was it. So that was one case of regressive assimilation. Now we have that when we have a D and it's followed by a P, B, or M, it's going to change to a B sound. So the first sound, the D, is going to change to a B. And as an example, we have the person. It's not a sad person, sad. The D, it's not going to be pronounced as a D, but as a B. So it's a the person. The person. The second example, with the letter P coming after, because here we have the D, and now we have a B. First it was a D with a P, and then a D with an M. The second example that corresponds to the B is sub-break. Sub-break. And the last example is a good man. Good man. It's not a good man, it's a good man. Good man. So now I think it's Ignacio Jofre.
Men is in plural form.
I'm sorry?
Men it's plural. Man is singular.
Man, I'm sorry. I am actually not wearing my glasses and I have them on my hands. I don't know why. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Sorry.
Don't worry. It was then a good man. A good man. I was just seeing the last element of the trap vowel, like the E, and I insist. I don't know if it's because my glasses are kind of dirty and I didn't want to put them on, and now I'm not seeing the screen. So thank you very much. A good man. A good man. Ignacio.
You were asking me?
Yes. I was thinking about your name. Can you repeat those sentences, please?
Which one?
The 3 ones. The 3 examples, please. Sub person, sub break, man.
Sub break.
I'm sorry, what?
A sub break. A good man.
Good man. And can you pronounce the first one again, please? I couldn't be able to listen.
A sub person.
A sub person. Perfect. Thank you very much. Now we have the case of N, that if it's followed by P, B, or M, these sounds are going to change the N to an M sound. And as example, we have one person. It's not one person. It's one person. One. We have in bed. Not in bed. It's in bed, and 10 men. We
Miss, I
don't.
have a question.
Go ahead. Judith.
This form is for informal English or formal English, or it's like a natural form for speak.
It's usually used when people speaks like in their daily lives, when we normally speak. It is not very common, and I would say probably it's not common at all for someone, for instance, that it's giving a conference. Speak is given a conference that will use these features because of probably the formality, and because they are, because they usually pronounce each sound individual in order to emphasize its message. So this is definitely more something that happens when we speak fast, first of all, and usually in our daily lives. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It's like as we say the words without is.
You can say so, because yeah, that's like that. I don't know about features of connected speech in Spanish, but probably that's like an elision, or that's something that we do in which we completely erase that sound. So this is like a feature that it's very that's also like part of it, but it's not the same. But it's yeah, you kind of get it. But yeah, regarding the first part of your question, this is something that, remember, it happens when someone speaks fast, and usually in formal, in a formal setting, speaking a formal language, that probably is not going to happen. So, yeah. Judith, you are actually the next one on my list. Can you read the examples, please?
One person in bed, 10 men.
Perfect. So we don't pronounce the N, we pronounce the right? And these are the last three ones that I have for regressive assimilation. And it says that when we have an N that's followed by a K or a G, it's not pronounced as an N anymore, it's pronounced as an ng. Like an N with a G together, like ng, right? And as an example, we have 10 kilograms. 10 kilograms. That's a little bit hard to pronounce, I think, because it's very similar to the N sound, but it should be pronounced as an ng sound, right? The second one is one goal, because in the previous one, if I'm not mistaken, it says one with an M, but in this case, it should be pronounced again with an ng sound. So one goal. It's kind of hard, if I'm honest. This is why at the beginning I wanted to show you the slide that said that this was harder for learners, the spoken discourse, because for us it's it may be like weird to think that we actually pronounce sounds like this when we are speaking fast, or when we are connecting our speech like a native person, because native people do this and it may look weird for us, but this is what native people do. So now, Maite Donoso, can you help me with these examples, please? Maite, are you there? I don't know if you wrote in the chat or not. I'm going to check. At least I don't see a message from you. Maite? It's okay if you cannot speak, by the way. Pia? Are you there, Pia? Pia? I don't think she can speak either. Roberta? Are you there, Roberta?
Yes, Miss, but sorry, I just entered the class, so I don't know what are you doing.
It's okay. I am
Sorry.
just saying, don't worry. It's very easy. I'm just saying that when we have an N sound and it's followed by a K or a G, the sound, it's not going to be pronounced as N anymore, but as an ng, like with an N with a G together. So in the example of 10 kilograms, we don't say 10 kilograms, we say 10 kilograms. And instead of saying 1 goal, we say 1 goal. Can you pronounce those two examples for me, please?
The two first?
These two first. Yeah, these two ones.
10 kilograms and 1 goal.
Yes, perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now we have that when we have an sound and it's followed by a sh or a j, the sound it's going to change to a j, to a sh sound. And the example is a nice show. And then we have I miss you. Sounds weird, like pronouncing the sh that much, but those are the examples. A nice show and I miss you. Sebastian, can you help me with this one, please? A nice show, and I miss you.
A nice show, I miss you.
And can you pronounce these parts in particular with more of a sh sound? Nice show or miss you?
A nice show is I miss you.
I miss you. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. And this is the last example of regressive assimilation, and it says that when we have a j, it can be pronounced as ja and j. I'm sorry, I just got confused. When we have a z and it's followed by a sh or a ja, the phoneme we're going to use is j. So, for instance, if we have like here in the case, those shoes, we are not going to say those shoes. We are going to pronounce those shoes. Those shoes. Those shoes. And then when we have as you please, we are not going to say as you please. We are going to say as you please. As you please. As you please. And the first one was those shoes. Those shoes. Those shoes. So I think it's Sebastian's turn again. Bastian, I'm sorry. Bastian Alvial. Can you help me with the last one, please?
Okay. But what sound I have to do? Because I was sending an email to another teacher.
It's okay. There's those two last ones. That is those shoes and as you please.
Those shoes, as you please.
Perfect. They have like a sound. So the shoes, as you please. Thank you very much. This, as I already mentioned, it was the last example of regressive assimilation. So now we're going to move on to the second one. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Progressive assimilation. I think I'm going to read this one so you can take notes. Progressive assimilation is a type of assimilation in which a sound has an effect on a following one. This is not like in the previous example in which the second sound was I was going to say interfering, and that's not the word. The second sound is I just completely forgot the word.
Affecting.
That's the word. The second sound is affecting. In this case, thank you very much, Miss Eli. In this case, the first sound is the sound that it's affecting the second word. So we can say that this type of assimilation, it goes forward. The direction of this type of assimilation goes forward because it goes from the first sound to the second one. And this is usually seen in inflectional endings, like in the case of s at the end of ed. And for instance, if we have a phone, a word of, yes, a word that has the element that it's going to be the last sound, this it's going to influence the ones that come after it. And as here says, for instance, if we have a voiced sound, the following sound, it's going to be voiced as well. Oh, that looks very ugly, I'm sorry. And if we have a voiceless sound, the following sound, it's going to be voiceless as well, because the first sound, it's going to interfere on the second one. So for example, in the case of books, the K here is voiceless. So in this case of this plural, the S sound, it's going to be voiceless as well. That is why it's books, because the K is affecting the second element, the second sound. The same happens in the case of students. The T is voiceless. So the following sound, it's going to be voiceless as well, just like the S right here. But now, in the case of, for instance, of dogs, G, the G sound is voiced. And this sound, it's going to affect the one that comes after. In this case, the S sound, the sound of this word, it's not going to be pronounced as the previous ones in which they were voiceless. This one, it's going to be voiced because the previous sound was voiced. So it's going to be dogs, dogs. So the examples are books, students, and dogs. Camila Gonzalez, it's your turn again, Camila. Can you help me pronouncing those words, please?
Yes, miss.
Thank you very much.
Books, students, and dogs.
Can you pronounce the last one, please, again? Well, more using more of the voiced element, please.
Dogs, dogs.
Dogs. Yes, the Z. It's like when we listen to AB, like buzzing, like Z. That's the ending. The word should have like dogs. Z. Z, z, z. So thank you very much, Camila. Now we are going to move on to the third type of assimilation, which is coalescent assimilation. Diego Farias, can you help me with that paragraph? That I know it looks a lot
Okay.
in comparison to the previous one. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Assimilation in which both sounds in question influence each other. They adapt to the pronunciation of the other sound, but instead of one becoming similar to the other one, they both influence each other. Finally, they are pronounced as a sound at a point in between them.
Thank you very much. I know it says each other a lot, but I think this was the best definition I could find of this type of assimilation, which is coalescent assimilation. This assimilation is a little bit different to the previous two ones we already covered, because in the first one, in the progressive assimilation, we have a following sound that was affecting a previous sound. And in the case of the one we just saw, that was a progressive assimilation, the first sound was influencing the second one. But in this case, the influence is mutual. In this case, both sounds influence each other, and they find a place. They find not probably a place, but they find a place of articulation that it's kind of in the middle of both of them, and I think you're going to understand this better with the examples. Here we have a T followed by a J. The thing is that T is an alveolar sound, right? And J is a palatal sound. So when we have these two sounds together, these proceed, the T preceding the J, they are going to, both of them influence each other, and they are going to find this middle ground, that is the cha. Cha, cha, cha. So this one, the one that we have now, it's a palatal alveolar sound that it's in the middle of having a alveolar sound and a palatal sound. So I just, if you have a question, just, I insist, ask them. And as an example, we have, no, it's not put your shoes on, but put your shoes on, like the cha, cha. Put your shoes on. Put your shoes on. The second example, it is the same case. We have the j and the j, and it's not. Did you notice? We don't say, for instance, especially if we are speaking fast once again, we don't say, did you notice? We say, did you notice? Did you notice? Did you notice? So I insist, if you have any questions, please ask them. And Diego Troncoso, can you help me with these two examples, please?
Okay, the first one is put your shoes on, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the second one is, did you notice?
Did you notice? Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much. So with this being said, now we are going to watch a video, but as I already mentioned, for some reason, this doesn't want to cooperate that well today. But you second, and I'm going to share the presentation again, once again with you, and we are going to be able to listen to the video. I think I am sharing my screen again. I think I am. Yes, I am. And this is the video. Please tell me if it's, I mean, if you can listen to it. I mean, if you cannot listen to it, please let me know. It's better that way. If you can listen to it, it's okay. We just continue watching it. Here, a person is going to pronounce some, it's going to pronounce words using assimilation. So I will highly recommend you to pronounce those words at home, if you're in your home, but I will highly recommend you to pronounce after the person, because we are going to pronounce the examples again afterwards. So this is the video.
In some English words, the sounds change when they're next to another sound. For example, t sounds more like p. Listen and repeat. Best man. Great Britain.
I don't know what happened.
Football. Best man. Great Britain. Football. Sweet pepper. D sounds more like b. Listen and repeat. Blood pressure. Good morning. Old man. Sound barrier. Sometimes n sounds more like m. Listen and repeat. Chicken breast. Garden party. Human being. Open book. Sunbathe. Sometimes the t sounds more like k. Listen and repeat. Credit card. Cut glass. That cake.
So that was the video. Now we are going to pronounce the sounds from the video once again, and I think it's Gaspar's turn, if I'm not mistaken. Diego, yeah.
Yes, for me, no problem, miss.
So we have the in number 1, best man, because the t it's more pronounced as a p. So we have Great Britain, Paul, and Sweet Pepper. Can you pronounce those for me, please?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Best man. Great Britain. Football. Sweet pepper.
Thank you. I will not recommend you, but as probably as a piece of advice to just forget about the t sound, how can I say this? I don't know if it's like an explosive T, but football. Don't think about the t sound. Just football. Think about only the second sound in this case, for instance, and even in the case of football, that it begins with a b. So just pronounce football.
Football. Yes.
Yeah.
Football.
Football.
It's like a mute T.
Yes.
Yes.
You're correct. Now, thank you very much, Gaspar. Ignacio, Jofre, are you there, Ignacio? Can you help me with number 2, please? That is the D is a B, and we have blood pressure, good morning, old man, and sound barrier. Go ahead, please.
Blood pressure, good morning, old man, sound barrier.
Perfect. That's it. Thank you very much. Now we have the case that n sounds more as an and we have chicken breast, garden party, human being, open book, and sunbathe. And Judith, it's your turn again. Can you please help me with those ones, please?
With which one? Sorry.
Number 3, chicken breast, garden party, etc.
Okay. Chicken breast, garden party, human being, open book, sun bottle.
Sunbathe.
Sunbathe, yeah.
It should be pronounced with more of an sound. So, sunbathe. And also the open book, just don't think about the N sound, just the sound. So open book. Can you pronounce it again, please?
Open book.
Open book. Open book. Thank you very much, Judith. Now, Maite, can you speak now, Maite? No. Or yes, can you? No. Roberta?
Yes, miss.
Can you help me with the next example? Credit card, cut glass, and that cake.
Okay. Credit card, cut glass, and that cake.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, we are going to move on to the last exercise before the break, because it is very close to have, the time. Oh, there was a message. Now I can see the message. Give me a second. That might be, it says that it was a comment about the video. Don't feel like you have been pronouncing the words bad your whole life. I know about this and I'm still pronouncing the words bad, so it's okay. We are all going to learn this with time. Just be patient and everything's going to be better. Trust me, your pronunciation is going to get better. You just need to practice them, and with time, and I insist, constant practice, you are going to improve your pronunciation. I am doing this because I have to share my screen again in order for you to listen to the sounds. So give me a second. It's kind of annoying that I have to do this every time I want to share audio with you, but I guess it's the only option I have left. And I need to use the little pencil. So this is a practice on assimilation, and it says identify which phonemes have been modified and what type of assimilation is taking place on each sentence. You're going to listen to each recording twice, and if you need to listen them again, I can read them to you. But first, please read the sentences. They are only 5, so they are not many. And I am going to give you a couple of seconds for you to do that before we start. Okay. Do you understand what you have to do? You have to identify which phonemes have been changed and which type of assimilation is taking place.
Miss,
Yes?
sorry to interrupt you, but the number 4, it says my grandma.
And it's grandma.
Grandma, with the letter D.
I'm sorry, what? I
wrote you in the chat box.
Yeah, I'm going to check the chat box. Give me Oh, right. I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. And I was thinking that it looked kind of weird, but as I was doing this without my glasses, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Miss.
So now we are going to listen to it twice. So please pay attention because they are very short recordings. Oh, I need to have that. No, I cannot.
I like to read the newspaper in bed.
That was the first recording. Again.
I like to read the newspaper in bed.
As they are so short, I'm going to play the recording again.
I like to read the newspaper in bed.
And once again.
I like to read the newspaper in bed.
So that was the first example. This is the second one.
2 students. 2 students.
Once again.
2 students.
Number 3.
He is a bad person.
Again.
He is a bad person.
And one last time.
He is a bad person.
Number 4.
My grandma is selling 10 cows. My grandma is selling 10 cows.
And once again.
My grandma is selling 10 cows.
Now number 5, the last one.
I love your dogs.
Again.
I love your dogs.
And one last time.
I love your dogs.
Do you need to listen to the sentences again? One last time?
Yes, the first is impossible.
So let's... we have a problem. Again, the audio has stopped. So I'm going to read the sentence for you. It says, I like to read the newspaper in bed. I like to read the newspaper in bed. Yeah.
And sorry, the N is M.
Are you ready? Yeah, that's actually correct. Are you ready to check then? Because of the time and because of your break, I don't want to take time from your break. So yeah, here we have this phoneme. I mean, the B affects this one, right? So it's What type of assimilation is?
Regressive.
Progressive is the one that goes forward, and
Yes,
regressive,
regressive.
is regressive because it affects the B affects the sound. The second one, two students.
The S. It become a voice test.
And it's what type of assimilation is?
Progressive. So, yes, it's progressive.
Yes.
Because the T affects the S.
That's right. The third one.
I think it says bad, like a T. He's a bad person.
Okay. What about the rest? Ignacio, Sebastián, what do you read? Judith? A B sound?
A B sound, like a bad person.
That's correct. It's a B sound. And what type of assimilation is? Progressive or regressive? Dun, 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 dun. I am going to give you a clue. This sound is affecting the previous sound. Dun, 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 dun. Camila?
Regressive.
Regressive, that's correct. Next example, my grandma is selling 10 cows. A lot of cows. Which is a sound that it's different from what it should be. I mean, not what it should be, but what sound it's different with assimilation here. My grandma is selling 10 cows. Ignacio again, Sebastián, Diego. Bastián, you wanted to say something?
Selling instead of selling.
It's not the word selling. It's another word.
The word 10.
Exactly. And how is it pronounced?
Is a 10 cows, I think.
That's right. Is it progressive or is it regressive?
Regressive.
Perfect. And the last example, I love your dogs. We are just in time because this finishes at 9:35 and my clock just sounded. I mean, my alarm just rang. I love your dogs. Which one is the sound that has been assimilated? I love your dogs. Camila González or Ignacio?
Love, maybe? Love.
Love. Listen to it again. I love your dogs.
The your
Dogs is actually the one. Like, I don't know who said that because my phone just kind of go weird.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
Why is assimilation with the S if previously in the start of this semester or in the past semester we learned that exists the voice and voiceless sounds, and when the previous letter is voiced, the S is voiced like a Z, and when it's voiceless, the previous is voiceless, is a voiceless like S. Like, I think this information, yeah, we learned before. I think this
Oh,
is the same that
information that, yeah, and that's because it's like a rule, like I already mentioned, the ones inflectional endings follow this rule. So yeah, it's the same information. That's why you want to say, right? You already learned this?
yes, that is why we are
Yeah.
like try to find another word, because
Yeah.
dogs is, we think that it's like, we know that rule that when it's
Yeah, and that's because that happens because of this, because of assimilation. So in this case, it was dogs. So can you help me now that you're you have your mic? I mean, you can unmute your mic. Can you help me with the last one, please?
I love your dogs.
Exactly. And what type of assimilation is?
Progressive.
Progressive. That's right, because the G it's voiced, so it's going to be voiced as well. Oh, I'm sorry. This is going to be kind of annoying. So, as I already mentioned, that was the last exercise before the break. So I have two questions there. What is assimilation, and when does it occur? But there can be many more questions like how many types of assimilation are, or what sounds change when we have this sound and we have this previous sound. But I want you to help me with those ones that are, I think, the easiest ones. What is assimilation for you? Do you remember what was assimilation? What do you have in your notes?
For me, it's when a phoneme change because of the previous phoneme or a phoneme that is after that phoneme.
Oh, yeah, correct. So it's when you have a phoneme and that phoneme changes because of a neighboring phoneme, right? And when does it occur? It's very easy. Thank you very much, Bastian. It's very easy. It happens when we have two sounds together. That's it. It can be, or it can be two sounds within a word, within the same word, or between two words that are separated. And we have three types, as I already mentioned. But we are going to have a big recap at the end. So that's why this one is smaller. And we are just finishing on time because the break starts at 9:35. So we did it. Now you are going to have a 10-minute break. And after the break, we are going to continue with the features of connected speech, but we are going to work with another one that you are going to discover after the break. So I think it's time for your break. It is 9:34. Now 9:35. At 9:45, please come back.
Okay, miss. No problem.
Okay. Bye.
See you later.
See you later.
See you, miss.